Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboardkeepers. I am your host, the Ref. Listen, guys, y'all already know, man. We'll be right back in 30 seconds, guys. Right back in 30 seconds. Give us 30 seconds, all right?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to the Scoreboardkeepers. You're around here, we'll keep the seats. We keep the score. So if you want to get on the board, make your point. If it makes sense, we'll add it to the board. If it don't, we won't. Scoreboardkeepers.
Hey, yo, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? Ladies and gentlemen, football season is upon us. Damn it, football season is here. Can y'all believe it's here already? Isn't that amazing? Football season is upon us, y'all. Listen, let me tell y'all, right? Time flies when you're having fun, man. It just doesn't seem like football's here already. Like, you got to think, in a week or so, maybe two, it'll be a Hall of Fame game. Preseason games will be right around the corner. By Friday, all 32 teams will be in camp. All 32. Some are reporting today. Some have already reported. But by Friday, all 32 teams will be in the building. All 32 teams will be in the building. You just got to love football season, man. You got to love it. And we're starting right off with the Atlanta Falcons, man. We're going to talk about the Atlanta Falcons and see what's going on with the Atlanta Falcons. You understand what I'm saying? They saying the Atlanta Falcons got some questions. What are the questions? What questions do the Atlanta Falcons have? That's what I want to know. So I'm just saying, if the Atlanta Falcons got questions, it must be with the quarterback. It has to be with the quarterback. What else could it be? You know what I mean? Anywhere Kirk Cousins go, he don't stay for long. So, you know what I mean? It has to be. It most definitely has to be. So let's find out what's going on. It says that The Athletic posed 7 key questions facing the Atlanta Falcons heading into training camp, and the Atlanta Falcons on SI has the answers. Well, damn it, I'm curious. I'm curious of what's going on here. So what's the question? The Atlanta Falcons have a slew of new faces in the starting lineup and calling the shots on defense. Now, wait a minute. Now, offense wins games, but defense wins championships. So if you got a slew of new faces, and especially if they're young on that defense, I'm having a little issue with that. All of the changes have raised a lot of questions heading into a pivotal 2025 season for the Falcons. Josh Kendall of The Athletic raised 7 of the biggest questions and they say he has the answers. Well, let's see if his answers equal ours. Okay. Question 1, how accurate can Michael Penix Jr. be? Well, as accurate as he's always been. Okay. That's why y'all drafted him. Okay. We saw how accurate he was when he played for Washington. The kid got a rifle and he has legs. But of course, everybody doesn't want him taking off out of the pocket. You want him standing in the pocket, standing tall, giving his receivers time to get through their progressions. You want him to be reading all his keys and go through his progressions. And you don't want him staring receivers down. Okay? And most importantly, you don't want him turning the ball over. I think that he has the capability to do all of those things that we just described. I really do. I saw some things out of him when he was playing for Washington that I absolutely loved. I thought that he controlled, the team. I thought he was being a good leader. I thought that he was putting the balls where they needed to be, and he just ran up against a better team. I thought that's what he was dealing with. He just ran up against a better team. But his potential is he could be a star. Given as though they put him in the right situation. Because we all know what offense coordinators can do to guys that young. Okay? We all know. You want to put them in the right situation, and I believe Atlanta is it because Atlanta's offense is similar to the one that he ran in college. They want to throw a lot of deep balls, and he got a good receiving core down there to do it. They like to throw the ball around the yard down there, so nothing wrong with it. Can he be accurate? The answer is they're saying that he should be league average, okay? Michael Penix Jr. struggled with accuracy during his first 3 starts for the Atlanta Falcons. Well, of course he would. He's new in the league. It could have been nerves. Could have been anything, right? He completed just 58.1% of his passes during those games. The only starter with a worse completion percentage last year was Indianapolis Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson at 47.1, who I'm led to believe was hurt. So Anthony Richardson was hurt, so that's not even a good measuring stick. Anthony Richardson played a good portion of last year's season injured, and I believe he's injured right now. I would say hurt because I'm not sure if he's injured, but I just know he has something going on. Now, this seems very alarming. However, one has to take into account that Penix was pushed into the starting role with hardly any first-team reps. See? There we go. There's your answer. He didn't even have any first-team reps. So there's your accuracy right there because he doesn't have any chemistry with the people he's throwing the ball to. Of course. His percentage would be like that. So that's not surprising. His first throws in practice to Drake London and Darnell Mooney were week 16 when he was officially announced the starter against the New York Giants. What a damn shame. Well, there's your answer right there. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know what's going on here. Week 16 against the Giants, if it was on the road and that was his first week throwing to Drake London and Darnell Mooney trying to get a chemistry together and then going out. If that game was on the road in week 16, it was probably a damn monsoon outside. Week 16? And y'all expected him to be accurate throwing to those guys out in that bad weather? Oh, come on. I bet you that was a monsoon. Not unless that game was actually in Atlanta. I have to look that up later, but I bet you if I go look up the weather on that day in New York, it probably is going to say monsoon and cold. Crazy. Not only does it take time to build chemistry, of course it does, with one's wide receivers, but Penix was also slinging the ball with much more velocity than Kirk Cousins, leading to drops that would hit the receivers in their hands. And who they talk about? They put a name right by that Kyle Pitts. So that means he was putting some mustard on that thing. And receivers sometimes got different rotations on the ball than other receivers. So if you don't have any chemistry with this guy, here he comes in there and his balls are coming out at a different velocity and is rotating in a different direction. Him being in there week 16 is ridiculous. He should have been taking some first team reps all year long because he's that talented. Now, we all know Kirk Cousins goes around and be signing these 1-year deals, but for a lot of money. But still, it should have been enough time in there for him to be ready just in case. He should have been a just in case with those starters. In his final 2 seasons at Washington, Penix completed 65.3 and 65.4% of his passes, respectively. That is right around league average. And with a full all season of reps with the starters, Penix should be able to achieve at least league average in 2025 while still completing explosive plays downfield. You're damn right, because that's what he was doing. That was his thing. That was his thing. So I mean, Drake London and them need to get ready because he's going downtown Freddie Brown on them. Man, you got to love football season, man. Next question. You got to love football season. Were Rook Ororo and Brandon Dorless the wrong picks? Well, how the hell would you know that when they ain't stepped on the field yet with no pads on? The answer, too early to tell. You're damn right. It don't take a rocket science. It do not take a rocket science. Because, first of all, Atlanta Falcons are not even in a position to be asking a question like that. You've been in a playoff drought. You got some talent down there. You need to find out what kind of talent you have. Because it's teams like that get rid of players, right? And the next thing you know, 15 years from now, they walking into Canton, Ohio with a jacket on talking about how that team got rid of them back there, and they end up being a star somewhere for the next 15 years. You don't want that. Sounds like a cop-out answer. You damn right, but it's true. The pair has only played a total of 166 snaps. They were picked to redshirt with Grady Jarrett and David Onyemata as locked-in starters and good depth. Ororo and Dorless weren't expected to be contributors any more than Michael Penix Jr. was. What? I wouldn't have come in. Oh, that wouldn't have been my thoughts with Michael Penix Jr. coming in there. So if they were holding him back, if they were holding Michael Penix back, then he was being treated. He was being mistreated. He was being mistreated. You don't bring a quarterback in there like that and just say, okay, I'm gonna just go with this quarterback over here. Not to mention, Kirk Cousins wasn't even the healthiest quarterback in the league. Now y'all know that, right? Michael Penix was talented enough to be a just in case. He should not have been going the whole entire season without getting some reps with those ones. He just shouldn't have been. Just in case. You know, Kirk Cousins was not the healthiest quarterback walking around there last year. The Falcons were deep enough at defensive tackle that they waived 6th-round pick Zion Logue, who was hoovered off of the practice squad by the Buffalo Bills. And look at that. Look at that. Buffalo Bills came right in there and cleaned up. See what I'm saying? Now y'all got to remember that name right there because of what I just said. Remember the name Zion Logue. Because, see, that team saw something in that player. And they're not playing around. It must be some talent going on down there. So what's going? So what's going to happen? I'm going to be watching that guy right there. Because Buffalo don't make moves like that for no reason at all. They came right there and fleeced them off that squad. That's crazy. If the Falcons were interested in an immediate contributor, they would have targeted a defensive back like cornerback Cooper DeJean, who went to the Philadelphia Eagles 5 picks later. Cornerback was a much bigger need than defensive tackle on the 2024 team, but Ororo is stepping in to fill the shoes of Grady Jarrett as scheduled. See, no. So I totally disagree with what this guy is talking about in this article because Cooper DeJean hasn't been proven commodity yet as being able to cover man-to-man coverage. They've been high. They hid him in that zone all last year. All last year. So no, he's not a proven commodity yet in the league. He was on the inside of that defense because that front was putting so much pressure on quarterbacks, they was throwing the damn ball anywhere. But I don't expect Patrick Mahomes to be throwing interceptions to Cooper DeJean. So what Cooper DeJean can do in the league is yet to be seen. Because he's going to have to play some man this year. You understand what I'm saying? The league is a copycat league. And it don't take them long for them to figure you out. So things don't last long. So whatever that defense was they was in last year, the league, it won't take them long to catch up to it, man, and to try to exploit some things. So we'll see. I still agree with what the Falcons did. So I'm not going to sit here and act like, that they should have went out and got a defensive back. No, you got to be able to stop the run, man. You got to be able to stop the run. You have to. You got to be able to stop the run, and you got to be able to run the ball in the NFL. If you don't, you got problems, man. The chain's going to keep moving on you. And this explains this next question right here. This right here sums up what Atlanta Falcons have been talking about, right? See, we starting this thing around right with the Atlanta Falcons, right out of the gate. Right out of the gate. Training camp talk, and we're starting off with the Atlanta Falcons. But I don't like what this guy's saying in this article. Because listen what he's saying. Can they snap the playoff drought? Yeah, if they stop making choices like you just suggested a paragraph ago. Yeah, they can snap it. By keep doing what they were doing and not going out and getting somebody like Cooper DeJean. Nah, that wouldn't have been the move, man. The answer is yes. Of course it's yes. Can the Falcons snap their playoff drought? And will they snap their playoff drought? Are two completely different questions. You damn right it is. Atlanta is absolutely set up to make a run for the playoffs. And the NFC South. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have won the South 4 years in a row, lost offense coordinator Liam Cohen. Under him, quarterback Baker Mayfield threw 40 touchdowns for the first time in his career. He had previously never thrown for more than 28 touchdowns in a season. Woo, hoo, 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 hoo. That's saying something. That's saying something. Now, I would have to say that the offense coordinator did have something to do with that, but damn it, the offense coordinator wasn't throwing the ball. Okay? The offense coordinator wasn't throwing the ball. Baker was throwing the ball. Baker got a receiver down there named Mike Evans. Baker ain't going to stop throwing the ball. Okay? Okay? Baker, he better keep throwing that ball. They pay that wide receiver out there a lot of money to keep throwing it. The Falcons also added to their defense all season. They added 3 new pass rushers. See what I'm saying? 2 through the draft and 1 in free agency. See, so 2 of them are young. So who's free agency? The safety Xavier Watts to take over for Justin Simmons, who disappointed in 2024. That still don't mean he ain't who he is, okay? Watts was PFF's 3rd highest safety and 36th highest ranked player in the draft. The Falcons got him at 96. Atlanta also added Billy Bowman, who they expect to compete for the nickel corner spot. Let me tell you something. Justin Simmons is a player. I don't know what they talking about. You lost me on that one again. Justin Simmons, listen, Justin Simmons is a player. He's somebody that, you know, with that experience that he has, you always want a guy back there that people can trust. And if I could have find some money in that bag, you sign a player like that and you keep him back there because of his experience, man. You do not be playing around with somebody like that back there in your defense. You don't do it. If you got the money to pay somebody like Justin Simmons, pay him. He'll bounce back. He'll bounce back. Okay? Will the pass rush have a chance? Well, you just drafted 2 and you got 1 in free agency, so the answer here should be absolutely yes. Atlanta completely revamped their pass rush. See, they revamped it, but it doesn't mean chemistry. It doesn't mean chemistry. It doesn't mean that as a unit they're going to work good together. A unit that was dreadful last year before the bye week has now been strengthened. The Falcons are adding 4 new pass rushers into the fray. Leonard Floyd, Jalen Walker, James Pierce Jr., and Braylon Trice, who will be returning from injury. I haven't heard of any of them guys right there. Okay? Not on the Pro Bowlish level. But like I said, as a unit, I'm hoping that they can work good together. But it doesn't sound like something that I would fear. Okay? You know, it ain't like Micah's coming off of that end. It ain't like Hendrickson's coming off of that end. You know what I mean? So it's not like Watt's coming after you. Floyd has not had a season with fewer than 8.5 sacks since 2019. Walker recorded 6.5 and 11 tackles for loss last season. Pierce has 7.5 and 13. Trice led the entire NCAA with pressures in both 2022 and 2023. Yeah, well, that's because he didn't have to go through some of these offensive tackles. That's why. He didn't have to go up against some of these Sunday offensive tackles. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. What's going to happen when he have to get after Jalen Hurts? You know? And he got to go through that big-ass offensive tackle that they got. Can he do it? That's the question. Because he's definitely going to see the Eagles. Okay? He's definitely going to see the Eagles. And the Eagles have one of the biggest lines in the league. They said the biggest difference in addition through subtraction, the loss of Jimmy Lake, former Falcons Matthew Judon complained about how often Lake had him dropping into coverage instead of rushing the passer. Wow. So now Matthew Judon is putting, he's putting the coach out there. How much can Bijan carry? Now you talking. Now on the offense, they shouldn't have no problem. Because Bijan Robinson is just crazy. He's just crazy. Now, they saying that he shouldn't have to carry the load because I'm pretty sure they're going to say he got weapons. So let's see. Bijan Robinson can carry the offense. However, if Michael Penix Jr. is just above average, then he won't have to. You know what I mean? Then he won't have to at all. Robinson does not have to be a one-man army on this offense. The Falcons averaged 32 points in Penix's 3 starts. You see what I'm saying? Now, you see how they just came right back and doubled back on what they said at the very beginning about him being accurate in this, that, and the other, but yet they was putting up all them points on offense. See, this is why I said he's dangerous. He reminds you of that young Thundercat down there in Washington. They almost are like similar, man. Drake London and Bijan Robinson combined for 360 total yards of offense and 4 touchdowns in Week 18 loss to the Panthers. This was also without Darnell Mooney, who had nearly 1,000 yards in 2024. These boys is putting up some numbers. You hear what I'm telling you? Atlanta has weapons outside of Robinson, including arguably the best number 2 running back in the NFL in Tyler Algier. Yeah, and I seen that. That 1-2 punch is crazy. They do not need to solely rely on him to carry the offense. I absolutely agree. And he should be healthy by the end of the year, too. Don't run him in the ground. Penix's arms can also make life easier for Robinson. He is yet to have a quarterback who can open up the offense and push the ball downfield consistently. For this reason, defenses could stack the box to contain Robinson. Now they will have to be able to do so out of respect for Penix's arm. I agree. Now, now me and him are, listen, we're right here. We're right here now. We're right here. What is Tyler Algier's future? It should be the number 2 to Bijan Robinson. That's what it should be. Your answer, this guy's answer in his article is saying that this is probably last year in Atlanta. Well, by that time, you should have drafted another backup anyway. And you should be having somebody getting ready to take over for Bijan once he's ready to go. Algier is a good running back. However, he will most likely be a cap casualty for the Atlanta Falcons following the 2025 season. The Falcons would need money to get a Drake London extension done next offseason. Garrett Wilson, who was in the same 2022 draft class as London, just got a huge 4-year, $130 million contract with $90 million guaranteed. Drake London gonna get paid. London's extension should be around that value. You damn right it will be, or maybe more. Atlanta may also want to extend safety Jesse Bates next season, who will only have 1 year left on his contract. They got some work to do. With Robinson entering the final year of his rookie deal in 2026, keeping 2 second contract premier running backs might be too much to ask. You want to talk about some work to do. They're going to lose a lot of players, man. They're going to lose a lot of players down in Atlanta. I hate to say it, but they should be on some of these contracts already. I don't know why they're stalling on some of these contracts. As a matter of fact, you may want to start getting some of these contracts done now, so you can have these boys locked up for the next few years, especially with Michael Penix Jr. You might want to start getting why these guys on their rookie deals. Is it still all 11 personnel all the time? This depends a lot on Kyle Pitts and what you decide to call 11 personnel. 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 running back. Charlie Werner got more snaps than Pitts in the second half of the season. Ray McLeod was the main slot receiver. That's why you didn't make the playoffs. Right there. There you go. There you go. That's the stat right there. That's a stat for your ass right there. That's why you ain't make the playoffs. Because you don't know who Kyle Pitts is? There should have been nobody getting more snaps than Kyle Pitts. Nobody. Pitts will find himself in competition with both players. Really? Okay. Okay. No, Pitts will find his way out of Atlanta. If Pitts is in the slot or lined up at wide, where he spent 70% of his time prior to 2025, according to PFF, should he be considered a second tight end if Werner's in on the field? I don't know. Listen, I don't know where Werner's going to be. I know where Kyle Pitts should be. Anywhere the hell he want. And get him the ball. Are you kidding me? London is a better blocker than Pitts from the slot and out wide. Of course. But what about all-around production, all-around impact? Can Pitts block well enough to keep Werner on the sidelines when he lines up in line next to an offensive tackle? If Pitts and Werner are on the field together, the statisticians will call it 12 personnel by default, but it's not. Not unless Pitts has his hands on the rubber pellets next to Jake Matthews and Caleb McGarry. Well, I can tell you right now, I don't know what y'all are trying to do with Kyle Pitts down there. I don't know what you're trying to turn him into. All I know is this, is y'all need to be in 12 all the time. If that's the problem, if that's the situation, y'all need to be in 12 all the time. Because Pitts needs to be on the field. If this is what's going on down there, I can tell you right now, Kyle Pitts is going to be looking to get out of there. Yes, the Falcons will be mostly 11 personnel, even when Pitts and Werner are on the field at the same time. The Falcons report to training camp on Wednesday, which is tomorrow, with the first practice scheduled for Thursday. We'll start to get answers to some of these questions, but we won't have them all until the season gets rolling in September. Ladies and gentlemen, I agree with what he just said. Now, here's the thing, right? Kyle Pitts, listen, it's a reason why teams like this don't get into the playoffs. If you're trying to figure out just because somebody else is doing a good job blocking or whatever they're doing, that's supposed to impact Kyle Pitts, no, never that. Kyle Pitts is an impact player, and he can help you really get over the hump when you're playing against certain teams. So this is when the offense coordinator needs to become crafty, and you got to find a type of offense where you can maximize the talent from both of them characters, Werner and Pitt. You don't say one or the other. That ain't how this goes. Because if you do, one's going to go. And if y'all doing Kyle Pitts like that, with as talented as he is, oh, no. He's going to be out of there. He's going to be somewhere where he can play 100% of the time. And most likely it'll be somewhere right in the division, and he'll come back to haunt you. He'll go somewhere like Miami or Tampa Bay. That's what he'll do. Or he'll just go somewhere where you got to see him, Carolina. He'll just go somewhere where you got to see him twice a year. Something like that. Come back and haunt you in your own building. That's the kind of stuff he would do. I could see him doing something like that. So, ladies and gentlemen, man, look, Atlanta Falcons, man, be in camp tomorrow. First practice on Thursday. And the Scoreboard Keepers is right here for it. You understand what I'm saying? We right here for it. So I'm just saying, ladies and gentlemen, you know, we love when the season comes around, man. So we just love it. And it's here. So guys, listen, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Atlanta Falcons fans, leave your questions and answers and comments down below. Thumb up the video. I want to hear from the Atlanta Falcons fans. You guys tell me what you guys think about your season. How many games you guys think the Falcons can win? How well do you think Michael Penix Jr. is going to perform all year? You think he's going to stay healthy all year? Do you guys like Kyle Pitts? Or are you worried about Kyle Pitts leaving? And just tell me what your expectations are for your season, man. And I look forward to seeing you guys. So until the next time in the next episode, score! Football's here, man. I'll see y'all guys on the next episode. Peace.